Coming up next is Dr. Kimberly Taylor. Here's your chance to talk about what matters to you. Although you will receive helpful advice from Dr. Taylor, remember, this is not to be construed as a form of psychotherapy, diagnosis, or treatment, and cannot replace a therapeutic relationship with a mental health professional. You can reach Dr. Taylor by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290. You can also listen live on the internet at drkimtaylorshow.com. So here now is Dr. Kimberly Taylor.
Hello, I'm Kimberly Taylor, and I welcome you to our program. I am a psychologist, and I've been in private practice here in Santa Barbara for almost 20 years. This is a program that is really designed to help answer questions or concerns that you may have about what's going on in your own life. So I invite you to call in with what's on your mind. I thought today that it would be really good to start out talking about change. What do you need to change in your own life? And more importantly, what are you waiting for? The biggest problem that we do face when we're really trying to change our lives is that we try to change someone else and get them to do the work in order for us to be happy. We are always trying to get the other person to do it first, and that's the problem. So who are you trying to change? Oh, and by the way, are you having any luck with that? Or better yet, how much time have you given it so far? We actually really need to stop expecting or hoping that others are going to change for our own personal benefit. What I want you to think about is that every time you try to change others or wait for others to change, you're really, in essence, giving your power away. You're really saying that until someone else makes the change that you need, you will stay stuck where you are, being as unhappy with your life as you are, and blaming others for why you're so darn miserable. The truth is that no one else has to change in order for you to get better. I really want you to hear this. No one else has to change in order for you to get better. I want to help you to feel empowered to create the change that you need in your own life and to look at the things that you do control. This is probably one of the hardest things that we do, because often what we think is that if somebody really cared about us, they would immediately change in order to accommodate to our needs. And not only that, but they would know what we want even before we told them. Unfortunately, this often does not work out, not because they don't care, but because they're too busy trying to get their own needs met. So what changes are you needing to make? Talk to me about where you're feeling stuck and frustrated in your own life. So give me a call. Let's try and work this out. You can reach me at 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290. I'll be right back after the break to take your calls. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290.
You are listening to Dr. Kimberly Taylor. You can reach her by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290.
Hi, this is Dr. Taylor, and we're going to take a call here. We're on the phone now with Kate. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Dr. Taylor.
What's going on?
Well, I have some feelings of frustration with regard to the relationship I have with my 19-year-old son who lives with me.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like a little background?
Sure.
Okay. So he has chosen not to go to school. He's a bright kid, but feels school is not his thing right now. And so he is working almost full-time at sort of unskilled labor. And he is very resistant to being accountable for anything. And so he lives with me. He has certain chores, and any sort of hint at asking, have you done this or will you do this, creates a little reactivity in him.
Okay, and what does that mean? What does he do?
He gets sort of intolerant, raises his voice a little bit. There's a tone of annoyance, and we had a great relationship until he became a teenager, and then for a couple of years, 4 or 5 years, it was very difficult, and we would often our conflicts would turn into fights, and wouldn't be fun. And I've really worked hard in the last 2 years to maintain my center when he gets upset, and just tried to listen and respond with a question, or just some sort of calm response. And I've been somewhat successful on my own in doing that, but what I feel is that he has now created a sort of control in that if I say something to him, he comes back with some let's say, assessment that I'm nagging. If I don't say anything, he sort of wins because he gets to not do or do whatever he wants to do, that like whatever chore or whatever he wants to do, he kind of wins because I pull back.
So, Kate, does he only do this with you?
He is also pretty. It has to do with accountability, and even though he has a really good relationship with his stepfather, he does it a little bit with him, but he won't go off on his stepfather as much because there's some male energy that he can't get away with.
Okay, so what is true is that he is upset with you, that he feels that you said, and your word was that he says you're nagging, that you're on his back.
Yeah.
Okay, and that this has been going on since he started his teenage years?
I'd say so.
Okay, because that often is a very hard time because kids are trying to become more independent, and it's hard for parents to let go at that time because you're still seeing them as kids perhaps, or that you still need to watch over them. So at the very time that they're needing to push away from you, you're still pulling him towards you.
Yes.
Do you have the sense that he is on the wrong course, or that he has to go to school, or do you feel like he is following a path that is going to work for him?
I feel that he's a little lost, that he doesn't really quite have the discipline he's never really done anything for very long that he didn't like doing. So he loved sports, he was fine at that, but the working, he's really just begun working in the last 6 months.
Okay.
And he works about 32 hours a week. It's very stressful for him, very, very difficult. I mean, and I validate that. I understand it's hard because he's doing unskilled labor, and he's a smart kid, but he doesn't want to go to school right now. He thinks it's a waste.
Okay, so I think that as long as he thinks that it's a waste, it is not going to be a good thing to try and force him to do that.
Of course, which is why he's not.
Okay, so what is his plan? He is living at home. Does he have a plan of moving out now that he's working?
He would not be able to afford it.
Working 32 hours a week?
No, not here in L.A. There's no chance.
Okay.
I mean, he's working. He's making it's minimum wage, and so he would need help. And honestly, at this point, if that were the case, I would be willing to help him. But it's been 6 months, so we're sort of giving him the first year here to kind of figure out what he's going to do.
Okay, but I think that the point is that you two have to set limits, and that you need him to know that while he is welcome to be at home for a while, that you need to start to think about what the plan is for him.
Yeah.
And for him to come up with that and to come to you about what it is that he would like to do and what his plan is about moving out. I mean, if he's not making enough money to move out, he's got to be very frustrated himself.
Yes.
And knowing that he is not pushing himself to his best potential. And for you to nag him, because that's the way that he hears it, means that he's feeling and thinking that you're not thinking that he's enough. He already is probably feeling that because he's a 19-year-old where he probably wants to be out on his own. And that the only way we make our kids accountable and responsible is that we dump it in their lap and we make it be up to them. But we set some consequences so that you might have to set a deadline for him about how long you're willing to have him in the home, or if he has to pay rent, or if he has to do chores. And that just needs to be a part of what he does while he's still at home.
I really appreciate that, and we have done that, and that's sort of the year. We're saying, you have a year to kind of figure things out.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the perfect area where the accountability stuff becomes difficult. So even having the conversation, he becomes reactive because he'll say, you're trying to kick me out, and
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of like this accusatory. Essentially, you don't love me.
Okay. And that's why you, as his mom, need to sit down and say, this is coming from the best place possible. I love you. This is not what this is about. But I also can see that you are struggling and that you might not be feeling good about where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to support you, not in a nagging way, but to also let you know that we believe you will figure this out. But to then set some of those guidelines for him as far as what you are willing to do. And that if he is going to be disrespectful, or if he is not going to be accountable to do, whether it's his chores or whatever it is that you have asked him to do, then say that he is the one that's making it clear that he doesn't want to be there, and he will have to then make more plans.
Well, that sounds good. That sounds quite firm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What I would say to you is just not be so afraid of him. He is needing to be, he is, in fact, needing to be independent right now, and he's probably just very frustrated that he isn't further along, and he doesn't yet know what his meaning and his purpose is going to be.
Yeah.
So he's just in this in-between time.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you say, in your experience, that this is common?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but that still does not mean that you can't expect him to be pushing himself. So we always need to be a bit stressed in order to change and to push ourselves.
Okay.
So add a bit of the stress, but not in a nagging way, but just to help him to see and say, I can actually see that you want to be doing more, or you want to be able to move out. Let's help you to be able to do that.
Okay, great. It really helps to hear the validation of firmness being the way to go.
Okay.
It is my intuition. It's just hard when you have your child saying, "What, you don't love me?
Yes.
You don't want me to live with you anymore." It's kind of heartbreaking in a way.
Well, just tell him what the truth is. That is not what this is about. In fact, why I'm here is because I do love you.
Okay.
Okay?
It sounds great.
All right.
Thanks so much, Doctor.
Take care. Bye-bye. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. Okay, we're back, and we're actually going to talk to Leslie. Hi, Leslie. What's going on?
Hi. Well, actually, I am a remarried mother of two. I have a great husband, and I started a business about 4 years ago in the financial services world. I was a stay-home mother before that, and now things I'm getting a little bit of success and recognition at my work. But I have a 14-year-old starting high school and a 6th grader, and I'm really feeling like there's a part of me that really wants to drive my business and be successful, and I'm also torn to be home, and there's a little bit of guilt there, and I'm having a hard time balancing it and not feeling guilty, really.
So really, it's kind of like welcome to the modern world.
Yeah.
Okay.
And quite honestly, I didn't even realize how much I'd enjoy working. I actually love it, but I'm also finding that I'm out of balance, where now I love it so much because I get a lot of recognition there that it's almost like when I get home, I'm not even available,
Do you mean because you've used it all up at work and so you have nothing left to give at home?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I'm home, but I'm so focused on getting ahead at work that it consumes my mind. So when I'm home, I may be present, but I'm not. And I'm, because you have to forge ahead at work, and it's just a matter of letting go of the phone, letting go of that stuff, and also being okay with working.
Okay, but just slow down for a second. It sounds like you're trying to be everything to everyone.
Yeah, welcome to my world.
Okay. All right. So what is this need to be perfect in each place? Why do you push yourself so hard?
Well, because I've never really felt any level of achievement, I think, first, in my life. And I've always felt, I think I've come from a place of always feeling like I was never good enough. Maybe that's it, you know?
Yes. So tell me just about that. Never good enough. That is a message that you've had for a very long time.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's superimposed on myself. I mean, I know maybe there was some signal somewhere in my life, but I don't know if that's my own trying to compensate for, I don't know. I don't know what that is. I mean, I'm the youngest child. I don't know where it comes from. It's just I know.
But what I think that you do need to think about is that we all push ourselves. We all want to be our best. And so that helps us to achieve it. It helps us to meet whatever stress, whatever challenge is out there. But if you're using it to also beat yourself up because you're seeing all the things that you're not doing perfectly, then it really gets used against you.
Right.
Okay. So you really need to stop insisting that you need to be perfect and that you need to be able to give yourself that message that says, I am enough. What I have to give in this moment is enough.
Okay.
Because part of your criticism is your own feeling that you are bad, that you're being a bad mom or you're not giving enough at work and that you still have to push yourself because you have to be perfect in order to be loved.
Yeah. Well, that's not new news.
Okay. All right. So what you are needing to learn here and is that at some point you have to decide that it's okay to be imperfect and that the only way that you can really feel good about yourself is to love yourself as imperfect.
Right. Which, I've come a long way, but I'm just, it's just really, I guess, getting the mindset that you can have both worlds and be okay and just not be end all be all to everybody, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and what you don't want to do is to pass this on to your kids, that you keep pushing them and telling them that they're not enough yet and that they have to keep working to get more perfect and they're not going to be loved unless they are.
Right. For sure.
Mm-hmm. So I think you need to relax. You need to accept your imperfections. Learn from them so that you can grow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. Thanks for your call.
Thank you so much.
Okay. We're going to go to a break and we'll be back to take your calls. I'm Kimberly Taylor and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290.
You are listening to Dr. Kimberly Taylor. You can reach her by calling 564-1290 or toll-free at 866-564-1290.
This is Dr. Kimberly Taylor, and we're on the phone with Sherry.
Hi, Dr. Taylor.
Hi, Sherry. What's going on with you today?
Well, I have a question. I have a 21-year-old daughter who has a newborn baby, and she's been struggling with alcohol and drugs for a long time, and she's starting to slip down the wrong path again. And we're wanting to help her by sending her to live with family to get away from all the influences here. But we're wondering, should we still be trying to do this, or are we hurting her by trying to keep her going in the direction we think she needs to go in?
Okay. Are you saying that without your guidance and help, she is not going to help herself and baby?
That's the way I feel.
Okay. So the first thing I would ask you is, do you feel like your daughter can take care of this child?
On one hand, I think she can. I mean, the baby's always clean and smiling. And on the other hand, I really wonder. I wonder about the people I see coming to the house now.
I see from my notes on the screen that the baby's father is actually out of the picture. So as long as your daughter continues to use and she's not being responsible and facing her problem and therefore she's not seeking help, the fact is it's your granddaughter who is in real danger here.
I feel really helpless. Is there anything I can do or?
Well, I think that the first thing and what you need to be guided by is the 1-year-old baby and the safety of this child. Your daughter needs to be in treatment. If she has had this problem and she is now slipping back and she's involved with all the wrong people, we can see what's going to happen to her. If she's not willing to go into treatment for that, then she hasn't hit her bottom yet. But she no longer has the right to be able to just continue and do that while she's caring for this 1-year-old baby who is innocent, who is dependent on her. So maybe the baby is the one that you should focus on and finding care for the baby until your daughter at 21 years old is going to start to take care of herself.
Oh, I see. Do you think that relocating her to a stable family environment, giving her the chance to get the help and keep the baby with her would be a bad idea?
People who are using, if they're not identifying with that and seeing that as the problem, they will find bad influences wherever they go.
So how do I help the child?
Well, this is where you as the adults actually really do need to step in and tell her, as long as she's using, she's not taking care of this child, and it's the child that needs to be taken care of.
Okay.
Now,
I
can
can see
family
that.
take care of this 1-year-old baby? Because it's the 1-year-old baby who needs to be taken care of until your 21-year-old baby turns it around for herself.
That makes it easier to look at it, how to deal with it if I'm looking at I'm helping the child, because I'm always feel like I need to direct the mom and I need to really just focus on the baby.
Sherry, you really need to tell your daughter the truth. Say, I surrender. I am no longer going to try to be the adult so you can play the child. You are an adult. You're 21 years old. You need to take responsibility, but I can't make you do that. What I will do, and what I promise you I will do, is not allow you to hurt and harm this child who is the innocent here.
Yeah.
And so give it over to her and say, so it's in your hands about whether you're going to mother and parent this child. But this child deserves to have a sober parent who is getting her life together and creating a life that this child will feel safe in. I love you, but I love you enough to say no more. I'm not going to collude with this. I'm not going to go along with this. I'm no longer going to allow you to act in an irresponsible way when you are supposed to be responsible for a child now. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. So we're talking about change, how to get it, how to create it, and how to make it happen. You have to first know what you want, and then you have to be willing to do the work. If you're just waiting for your partner to change or your kids to behave or your boss to give you a raise, you really need to call me up. Let's talk. Now we're going to go to the next call. Hi, Mary. How can I help you?
My husband does not do what I want him to do when I ask him to change something.
And you think this is new for you?
No, it's not new. It's quite old.
Okay. So, Mary, how long have you been married?
47 years.
Okay. And is this a recent change or is this ongoing?
No, it's ongoing.
Okay. So this is something that you've dealt with for a very long time.
Yes, it is.
And why is it a problem for you now?
It just seems to be bothering me more now.
And why do you think that is?
I want him to change these things, and he doesn't do it.
Okay, so you are and have been waiting and waiting for him to change.
Yes.
And he's just not doing it for you, right?
That's right.
Okay, so what do you think about that, Mary? You think maybe that experiment has failed? It sounds like after 47 years, you might have given it your very best.
I think I have, yes.
Okay, so maybe the answer for him to change is not the answer that's going to work. What would happen if you said something to him and he had a non-response to that? Would that be okay with you?
No.
Why not? Why, Mary, do you need his approval? Right there, right behind that sigh.
I don't know why I need it.
Yes, right behind the I don't know. Why do you need his approval?
It's just important that he would.
Why
agree with
is
me.
it important that he approve you? Why do you need that in order to do what you want to do?
It just feels like it would be right.
Well, it would...
Fair, even.
Oh, so that you wouldn't have to risk him being disappointed or upset.
Yes, perhaps.
That you'd get
yes.
his validation
Before I did anything.
before
yes.
you did anything. So see, this isn't his problem, Mary. This is yours, needing everybody else's approval in order for you to feel okay.
So
Maybe
I have to change, not him.
Yes, maybe it's time to reassure yourself a bit more that it's okay to go out on your own, that it's okay to have your different thoughts, feelings, opinions, and that you don't have to wait for somebody else to validate that for you. That what you really need is to accept yourself, to give yourself the approval, to give yourself the love, and to give it to yourself first. Because when we give it to ourselves first, then it matters a whole lot less what we think about what somebody else is going to say or think about us. So think about that, Mary. Take care. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290.
You are listening to Dr. Kimberly Taylor. You can reach her by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290.
And we're on the phone with Danelle. Hi, how can I help you today?
Hi, Dr. Taylor. Thanks for taking my call. I just had a question of something that seems like I'm really struggling with lately. It's, being middle-aged, 55, and just all the roles that we as women play as far as, daughter, friend, wife, mother, all the things that we have to do, and trying to juggle everything, working full-time and driving a lot every day. And I just wondered if you could, I just have such a hard time accepting myself and that I'm doing the best that I can when I feel like there's so much more that I could do.
Okay. Are there people in your life telling you that you're not doing a good job?
No.
So would you say that this is really coming from you?
Yes, I definitely think it comes from me, yeah.
Okay. So how come you're so hard on yourself, Danelle?
I think it's something that I've always been, no matter probably what age I've been, that I've always struggled with self-esteem and, comparing myself to others and wanting to be, a better mom and a better wife and all those things. And I'm not really sure why, but I always just feel like not enough.
Okay. So whatever it is that you're doing, what you continue to come up with is, no matter what I do, it's never enough, it's never enough, it's never enough.
Right.
Okay. So that's like your theme song, right? It gets played in the back of your head nonstop, 24/7.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
All right. So it's kind of like that ticker tape at the bottom of the screen when you're living your life, that no matter what you do, it's just constantly there.
Right.
Okay. If we could, just by magic, and we had this magic wand, what would you like that ticker tape to say instead?
I'd like it to say, Danelle, you're wonderful, you're enough, you do the best you can, and you can love yourself.
And what keeps you from saying those things to yourself?
I think mostly it's when I compare myself to other people, or just also like, even though I've always had insecurities, being as old as I am now, realizing that now that time is gone. I can't get those years back or those decisions back or any of those choices back, and it's hard. I think I just feel like I failed at so many things.
Okay. But if you are to continue to compare yourself to others, you'll either come up short or maybe some days you'll come up on top. But nonetheless, comparing yourself to others isn't serving you. It's not making you feel better about yourself. And this has nothing to do with age. It's just that with age, the more you try and the more failure you have around this, the more defeated and the more depressed you feel. So how you think about yourself is really what matters, because if you have this one ticker tape and it's playing the old song, you're not enough, you're never going to be enough, and that's how you're trying to then run your life is going to look one way. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
But if someone was back there on the ticker tape saying, Danelle, you're wonderful, you're wonderful, you're wonderful, you are enough, you are enough, your life would feel completely different, and you would feel completely different, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So this really comes down to a choice, because the truth is we can always compare ourselves to others and come up short or come up on top. But what you say to yourself is all that matters. So when we're talking about how in the world do we change this, every time you recognize that old song, put in the new song. Do you sing, Danelle?
I do. I love to sing. Uh-huh.
You love to sing. All right. Then I want you to even hum it. I want you to sing it so that you start to hear a voice inside your head that replaces the old tape, because that's all it is just old tape.
Okay.
And every time it comes up, you replace it with something new, because we cannot think two thoughts in our head that are the opposite at any given moment in time. We need to remember, the goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to be perfectly whole, and that includes the good and the bad. The only way you can really learn to feel good about yourself is to embrace and love yourself as imperfect. We need to learn from our imperfections, but not let them overshadow the good that we do have inside. We all worry that we're not good enough, but if you come from the good, you will even please your harshest critic, yourself. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. Okay, we're going to take a call now. It's from Diane. Hi, how can I help you?
Hi, Dr. Taylor. I have a grown daughter who's been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and she's extremely difficult, hard to reason with, and she won't go into therapy. She goes on and off her meds, and when she is off her meds, she rages at everybody, and we all tend to kind of, walk around very carefully. But then that means we just accept her hurtful behavior, and that doesn't seem right either. So I'm just not sure, when she's behaving very badly, aside from just, walking away from it, what can I do?
Okay, how old is she?
She's around 40.
And does she live by herself, or does she live with you?
No, she's married with children.
Okay, so how involved are you in her life?
Very.
Very involved. Is that because she needs you, or because...
Yes.
Okay. And she is married, so she has a husband, and how is he effective in dealing with her?
No, they're probably going to get divorced. It's very unhappy.
Okay. All right. So the part that you're trying to deal with is that when she is with you, that she's very hard to reason with?
Well, with everybody. And I care deeply about my grandchildren, and I'm very concerned about how she treats them. But I know that if I say anything to her, then she'll just cut me off, and I won't be able to see my grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't know what to do.
Okay, but she must feel at this time that if her marriage is falling apart, and if she's having difficulty with the kids, and that everybody feels like they have to walk on eggshells with her, do you think that she senses this and knows that her life is coming apart?
She knows her life is coming apart, but she is very defensive and justifies her behavior by saying, I'm unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
And she never thinks about how unhappy she's making her children, especially.
Okay, so she has never really taken ownership of her diagnosis and the symptoms that she has.
No, never.
Okay, so it's really important that you need to deal with this by not getting stuck in this with her, that you need to be the voice of reason and to help her to be a part of helping her herself by saying that, and to just tell her outright the truth that she's not being reasonable, that you know that she wants to be a good mom, but that you definitely see that she could use some help with that because she's having a difficulty just trying to organize her daily life. Would she go into therapy?
No.
Okay. Has she been in therapy?
Yes.
Okay.
But she always comes out of it hearing what she wants to hear, and what she hears is, it's not your fault.
Okay. And so what does she do with that?
She uses that to blame everybody else.
Okay. And see, that is part of the problem, is that she needs to start to be able to hear from you that, in fact, she is a part of this and that she can help herself. And that the part that she can help herself with is taking some, to own some of what she is doing, that is creating the chaos and the problems that she's having in her marriage and with you. But that you really need to stay and be that voice and to calmly tell her that you love her, that sometimes that she has problems trying to deal with feelings that she has, that whenever somebody talks to her and says something that she thinks is judgmental, that she feels at that point in time that they are rejecting her and that they're going to abandon her, because that's the number one problem with people who have this, is that everything feels like it is a total rejection. So you would have to just reassure that that is not what you are trying to do, that you want to help, that you want to be there with her. But you can't get sucked into this if she's not willing to go and get some help for herself with this and to own her part.
That's very helpful. I do know that she feels rejected and abandoned when anybody dares to criticize her in any way.
Right, and that is the telltale part of this, that you really have to, every time you speak to her, just reassure her on that end prior to being able to talk with her. So I wish you luck with that. Thank you for calling. We're going to go to break, and we'll be right back. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290.
You are listening to Dr. Kimberly Taylor. You can reach her by calling 564-1290 or toll-free at 866-564-1290.
Hi, we're back, and we're on the phone with Jenny. Hi, Jenny. We have a very brief time here, so do you have a very brief question?
I do. I'm just trying to find some tools for me to not engage in. I have a 14-year-old daughter who gets very emotional very quickly over seemingly nothing things.
Mm-hmm.
And I never know where they come from. Today was an event. We picked her up from school, and she had a complete meltdown because we were supposed to go for a horseback riding lesson, which I thought would have been fun. And she just every time I try to transition her into something, she kind of throws a temper tantrum, and I'm too tired, and I can't. And it's always a fight to get her to try anything new, whether it's a sport or an art or anything. And
I got it, Jenny. She has a lot of problem making transitions.
Yeah.
You need to slow it way down. Think about that, just giving her a little, and then a little, and then a bit more. But when you give her too much or rush her, she's going to respond with this because it stresses her out. Okay. So what you might do is think about what you have scheduled each day, and if it is too much for her, now this might not be for other kids, but it might be for her. And so you really need to back it down, because the only time that kids really act out and get emotional and all of the temper tantrums is because they're feeling overwhelmed. So slow it all down. Give her a chance to slowly take it in, and then see if that will change it. And don't push and nudge. Just sit back and say, "Yeah, let's just think this through. Do we want to do this? Is this a good plan?" And let her have some input into her planning, and it will probably go a lot better. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. Okay, so we've been talking about change. We've heard from Sherry trying to change her 21-year-old daughter. We heard from Mary trying to change her husband after 50 years. So what actually needs to become crystal clear is that if we want something to be different, we really need to be able to own it and learn how to change ourselves in order to get the changes that we say that we want. I want to thank you for being here. I'm Dr. Kimberly Taylor, and I will be with you next Thursday live from 2 to 3, where you can catch me here. You can also send me your email questions, and I will be answering some of them on air. I think we got to one of them. And you can send them to me at Dr. Kim at drkimtaylorshow.com. You can also listen to the program live on the net by going to my website at drkimtaylorshow.com. And then don't forget to hear the rebroadcast Thursday evenings at 10 p.m. and Sundays at noon. And if you are one of those that are hearing the rebroadcast, thanks for being here, and I hope that you are enjoying the program. If you would like to take part and call me, I am live on Thursdays between 2 and 3, and that's where we can talk and start making sense of your world. As we close out, I want to thank a couple of people. One of those is Sandy JaCoy, who has been our screener, and she helps me out here. She's doing a great job, and I'm very pleased to have her here. And then next, Richard Dugan. He takes care of all of the things behind the scenes as far as all those wires and buttons and all those things that I don't get. I am your host. I'm Dr. Kim Taylor, and I will be with you next Thursday. So in the meantime, remember, no one else has to change in order for you to get better.